Alright guys, I'm here to give you guys my imaginary Scramble event guide. Hopefully after watching this video, you will be well equipped to take on this event. This is actually one of the more fun events that we've gotten in quite a while. I'm seeing a lot of people actually really enjoying the mechanics for the event. Basically, if you don't know, you're kind of just playing Battleship, right? In a way, you're sending out different servants, and each servant has like a set pattern that can kind of clear the board for you. And as you clear the board, you get points for the event ladder. You can discover different items and stuff, and that that's free material. And then you can also discover some of these other monsters floating around in the void space, and you can try to fight them, take them on for more rewards and for furthering the story. So it's quite a rather fun event. I think a lot of people are enjoying this over some of the other gimmick events, say cough cough, the Voyager event. But before we actually begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for daily FGO content. Also, I stream every weekday over on my Twitch, usually around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if that kind of tickles your fancy, you can go peep that Twitch and watch me play FGO, because I just realized there's a certain CE on Raid Up that as a Jean simp I need to acquire. So what better way to start off this video than talking about the actual summoning campaign? So obviously I've already done videos for both Nemo and Van Gogh. If you want my in-depth thoughts about them, I made two pretty lengthy videos on both of them. They are both quite good. Obviously Van Gogh is more of the prize here, just the ability for her to just generate so much offensive pressure right on the enemy and just obliterate them with crits is absolutely insane. The amount of attack that this girl can just ramp up, and the fact that she can give you potentially 150% crit damage if you're using one of the foreigner servants. Things get really ridiculous really quickly. I mean, even for soloing, she can chain stun people and pretty much keep them perma stunned. She is disgusting. But if you also happen to go for Nemo, or maybe you summon on one of these days where they're both on Raid Up and you happen to have gotten him, he is a really strong single target rider. He has a little bit of swing as far as how good he can be, because even his base damage is kind of fine, but once you start getting to a waterside battlefield, a void space battlefield, or even just fighting super large enemies, right, Nemo's damage starts to ramp up pretty high. He becomes one of the highest hitting, if not the highest hitting, depending if you have all of his buffs, rider in the game, right? So he becomes really good. But something I wanted to bring attention to, and again, not just because I'm a Jean simp, is the 5-star CE. The 5-star CE, actually, if you go ham on the banner and you actually do get it max limit broken, is really strong. It's just a good CE for any arts or buster servant, because it's pretty much giving them everything they could want. It's giving them a nice little card buff, it's giving them starting charge, and it's giving them crit damage. The only thing that's unfortunate is that it's a mixed CE, meaning that it gives you attack and HP, and you really want those CEs that only give you attack, because if you do level up that CE, that extra 2000 attack is super substantial, and the 2000 HP, or even in this case the 1600 HP, is really not that substantial. It really is not all that noticeable. So it's a little unfortunate, but still, I mean, it's a banger CE, man. I think this is a CE that everybody's been waiting for the longest time, just because, bro, they put double Jeans on there and idol outfits. It's super sick. But that's it for the summoning campaign, right? Then we move in to kind of some of the gimmicks for the event. So I was going to kind of go in depth and kind of talk about a lot of these, because we recently just got Epsilon, and a lot of people were kind of struggling with this fight, and there's going to be a lot more annoying fights to come, right? You have this alpha one over here that pretty much just gives himself infinite guts, that I thought was pretty notable. This one pretty much just nullifies all damage, but literally you're not supposed to go in there and start slamming your head against these enemies. You're supposed to use the supports, the recommended supports, to nullify their abilities. Now, what are these supports? What are they talking about? Well, as you progress through the event, and I believe I can actually just show this up here by the main info. If you come over here to, I believe, is it this? It's somewhere here. Okay, I'll find it. I'll find it somewhere. But basically, there are certain servants that you find throughout the event. There it is. As you go throughout the event, you will find and recruit more of these servants, and they will give you like certain buffs when you go into a fight, but more importantly, they can negate certain void attributes, right? So you have that guy Absalon, right? That like might be really annoying, but you just bring Raiko and bada boom, bada bing, you turn off pretty much the entire gimmick for that fight. And that's what you're supposed to do, right? So if you find yourself like kind of struggling and you're like, man, I can't beat these guys, you need to explore the map a little bit more to find the servant that can actually negate the ability that they have, right? I understand a lot of people, like myself included, are kind of just slamming our heads into the wall for the challenge aspect of it, because I actually just want to legitimately beat a lot of them. If you want to do stuff like that, try focusing on some of the event bonus servants over here, because they get a lot of damage. And if you happen to have like an imaginary element, that is an event bonus CE for this event. That max limit broken gives you 60% extra damage, right? So someone like, I don't know, BB over here, for instance, if you want to use her, and if you have her, you slap on imaginary element onto her, and then that BB is now getting an extra 110% damage. And then if you also have the imaginary around, I believe the quick one, right, the Sakura quick CE that gives you 25% quick or like 30% quick if it's max limit broken, that's like an 80% special damage, right? Like things can get really insane really, really quickly. Those were both on rate up, by the way, on the Yang banner. So if you were going really hard for like Yang or MHXX, you probably did scoop up a couple of copies of either one of those CEs, unless, you know, you kind of got unlucky and didn't pull any, but those are going to be really good, right? They can definitely help you out a lot, because you just get so much free special damage in this event because of stuff like that. And imaginary element, if you have that thing max limit broken, you start at 75% of your NP and you get an 80% special damage mod. Like, it's really, really insane, because you don't need drops for these quests over here. For the exploration quest down here, not these ones, these ones, yeah. For these ones, they don't drop like any actual event currency. So you don't actually need to worry about bringing like the bronze CE or the silver CE. You can just slap on all of the damaging CEs and then just go to Pound Town on these guys, right? It makes it really, really easy. So keep that in mind. I mean, a servant that everybody should have is like Robin Hood. Where is he at? There he is. He has 30% damage mod, and he's like really easy to use. You just smack people with poison and just obliterate them with Yugioh. So like, even if you don't have like XX over here, or you didn't get Van Gogh, you can still use people like Robin Hood. It's just like really, really good for this. If you have Jalter Berserker, she's really good for like stuff like this, because, you know, she has a very like self-sufficient kit. Like, she kind of does everything for herself. So even if you can't support her with like your own Merlin or something, right, you could still just bring her along, and she's really good for stuff like this. Also, for farming, if you're doing quick farming, you're kind of eating because of Edmond Dantes, and if you're using Berserker Musashi, she's also kind of clapping cheeks in this event. Both of them are very, very insane farmers if you have them. Also, people like Jean Archer are going to be very notable here. You can actually probably get away with using Voyager as well, because one of the things with Voyager is that until he gets his buff, he doesn't quite do as much damage as Dante's does, but with this 50% special damage mod, it actually makes him really viable for farming here. So make sure you take advantage of that. Also, make sure you try to slot in as many event bonus servants as possible, because they're going to give you these extra drops. These are basically what you use to move around the map and what you use to actually get those servant buffs back there, right? The ones that can like negate the different void attributes. So make sure you're also using those as well. Speaking of kind of just the next part, actual farming, if you don't have the ability to do any of the like kind of crazy nodes down here, just keep in mind that all of the nodes in this event are just like really easy 333 nodes, so you could farm them, you know, easy, lickety split, just get it done. It's pretty easy to do, right? Like, these are like, if you can't do stuff like this, you can always do these ones up here. But again, keep in mind that even if you're like, oh, 455,000, I don't know if I could do that, you can sacrifice like not running an optimal CE pattern and just slot in like the imaginary element CE, right? Because you'll get 30 to 60% extra damage depending on if it's limit broken or not, and then you're also starting off at like 75% NP. So like, it can definitely help you out a lot if you need to actually run that for some of these nodes. Just keep that in mind. Then I believe some of the last stuff to cover are the actual command codes here, which all of them are actually really good. Like, all three of these are pretty viable command codes. This one's actually really insane. So obviously they want you to pair it with Yang, because Yang has the ability to burn everybody. But if you just have a servant that can burn somebody, right? Like, you could smack this on like Nobunaga, right? You could smack this on Tomoe even, right? Like Archer Tomoe. Like, any servant that can just burn somebody, you can slap this on there. Now they get like 30% crit damage built into that. 30% is a lot to just have for free on a card. Like, that is going to greatly increase how much damage those crits are doing. Because keep in mind, most servants have like a 50% crit buff or something. So then this card rolls around, like maybe you've got like some buster card with this on it. Now it's got like an 80% crit damage buff, which is really insane. You can also pair this up really well with pretty much any servant. Like, let's say you slap this on, I don't know, we talked about Robin Hood. Let's say you slap it on Robin Hood, right? But your Castoria has one of the command codes that burns people whenever they attack. Because, I don't know, maybe you want your Castoria to synergize even more with Yang or something. And boom, now you can actually like slap this on Robin Hood if you're like putting those kind of things on your different supports. Obviously, it's probably better to put it on somebody that can already naturally burn by themselves, you know, like your Tomoes or somebody like that. But just some ideas of stuff that you could actually do with it. It's still really insane. It's still very, very good. This one's equally as good, right? Because you can just smack this on anybody because it's free 10% crit damage and it just pierces defense, right? Like, it just pierces defense. It's really insane. And like any card that you just want to do a little bit of extra damage, slap this on there, right? Finally, there's a Leviathan one. This one, again, I said they're all good, but I didn't say that they were all like insanely crazy. But this is just nice. Like, you get a little bit of HP back and you also gain a crit star, right? Like, it gives you a little bit of extra star gen and it gives you a little bit of HP, right? It's just two pretty decent effects, right? Nothing super, super insane, but they're both pretty decent. But anyway, I think that should keep you guys up to date on what's going on with the event. I was trying to get out the Van Gogh and the Nemo videos out first before doing the event guide, so hopefully nobody's too stumped. But really, the only thing that I've seen people really struggling with were a lot of those big boss fights, right? Like, they'd find like a fish and they didn't know how to beat it, and it's like, no, you just have to go find that servant, right? If you find a boss that you can't beat because you don't have the actual servant to negate the void buff, you just got to go look around the map, right? Go look around the map, go try to find them, and then once you can find them, and once you like acquire them by moving through the story, then you should be able to take them on. Because keep in mind, the story is kind of locked behind a point system, but you get points the more you explore the map. So basically, all you got to do is explore the map a little bit more, and then eventually you'll get to a point in the story where you get like Raiko, or you get Fran Saber, or you run across like Zhang Yu or something, and like you'll get them eventually. And you know, again, keep in mind that the materials you use, those like little like seashells and the little like claws and fins and stuff that you use to redeem those, they're like infinitely farmable. So like, don't feel bad being like, I gotta save them specifically for these fights. It's like, no, don't feel bad. Like, they're infinitely farmable. You can use them however much you want. If you're struggling on like a certain node or something, you know, just feel free to break that out. Same thing for like the challenge quest, right? It's like, you have so much at your disposal. You have so many really, really strong servants with damage mod. You have the fact that both imaginary element and imaginary around are event damage bonusy. And God forbid you have imaginary around, which is like a 30% quick buff when it's max limit broken, and you smack that on a quick servant, you could probably Scotty just obliterate that like really, really quickly. So I don't really think it was like too notable to be like, here's like the team comp that I would recommend. It's like, no, you could probably just obliterate that. It's not super, super difficult in my opinion. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope this guide was helpful for you guys, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, late guys.